Hello, friend. If you are new here, welcome. I am Carlene Cadet Francois. I help busy professionals convert buildings into thriving assisted living businesses and group homes in the state of Florida. Today, I'm going to go into some of the questions that you sent me. I'm going to answer them. And if you have any other questions you want me to answer, please drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to either respond or make a video response. These are the questions that I will be answering today. How did you get into this business? Are you a nurse? Do you have an ALF? What are your next steps? How did you find your first clients? What is your day to day life? Those are some great questions. So I'll start with question number one. How did I get into this business? Well, getting into assisted living was not my idea. It was actually my husband's idea. Just a little bit about my background. I came from law enforcement. I served at the Broward Sheriff's Office where I've always reside. I immigrated to America. I happen to live in Florida, Broward County, and I've been here ever since I was a child. Went to college, have my family here, and of course, I decided to serve at the sheriff's office. And when I was retiring early, I became a real estate investor while I was at the sheriff's office. And when I was retiring early, my husband and I were sitting down, we were having a conversation. I wanted to have the next phase of my life to be felt like I didn't really have a job, even though I was so young. I needed to have something to do to generate more income. And he said, I think you will love senior care. For some reason, he's always find me helping seniors. And of course, you don't always see yourself doing things. I'll be at the Sam's Club or Walmart or wherever I am. And if I see a senior person that needs help, it's second nature to me to help them. Oftentimes I will say, can I help you, as I am helping them, right? Who does that? And my husband said he think that I will do well in this type of business. And so I tried it. When I got into the business, it was my own building that I decided to convert into an ALF. So it was no pressure. If I succeed, great. If I don't, I tried, I learned something. And now I know this plan will not work. Well, anyway, I ended up succeeding. I succeeded very well and I manage my ALF. This will answer question number two. Do you have an assisted living? And I ended up managing my ALF and I did very well. That first year we did six figures. And I'm like, oh my God. I can make this big difference. I can help my seniors in such a way that fills my heart. I can help my staff. I can make this huge difference. I can be in control of my time and my schedule. And I don't have to ask for a day off or come in extra early to punch in to make sure that I can be approved to be off for vacation and different things like that. I fell in love. I will say I fell in love. And we don't always listen to our husbands as wives. I'll be the only one to admit that I do that. But I listened to him. The way that it sounded like it would be something that I really enjoyed. And looking back is because my grandmother raised me. Ever since I had any type of memory, it was a senior person. Because by the time my grandmother was raising me, she was already a senior. It was a senior person that was like a mother figure to me. My parent immigrated, so it was my grandmother that was that parent figure, that was that mother figure to me. So, yes, I had an ALF. I no longer manage my ALF. What I do now and for the last few years, I've been helping clients open assisted living businesses throughout the state of Florida. I transitioned full time into working from home, which is what I love the most, is to be able to come and go as I please. I don't have to make a plan. And of course, if I didn't have the flexibility to do so, I'd still be managing my ALF because making money was not an issue. It was having to plan. So, running your ALF or having an administrator to run your ALF is still a responsibility. So, at some point, you have to decide what type of lifestyle you want to live and what you need to do to achieve it. So, clearly, I didn't get to live my ideal lifestyle overnight. I started working when a child should not be working. Then I did a whole bunch of years working at the sheriff's office. And then I get into the ALF industry, ended up loving it. And that's when I found my ideal lifestyle. When people were visiting my ALF asking questions about how did I do this and what were the steps, teaching I started teaching that. And when I saw that there was a great need for it, I ended up stop managing my ALF and then I got into consulting full time. I pick up and go as I please at this phase of my life, and I absolutely love the flexibility. So the idea is you have to start somewhere, and it takes time for you to establish your ideal lifestyle. So the other question is, why did I stop managing my ALF? What happened? Nothing happened. I had the time, the flexibility, and the choice to say, I am going to stop management because even though it makes good money, I feel being able to pick up and go as I please without too much planning is my ideal lifestyle. And so I made that decision. That's what happened. No drama, no figure. What are my next steps? Well, my next steps is to continue doing what I'm doing. At this phase of my life, I am happy. I have my ideal lifestyle. I'm not driven by money, even though we all need money. I enjoy what I'm doing. And so at this phase of my life is just focusing on family, self-care, and helping my clients' dream come true. Continue to educate, to show up for you. Continue to have educational programs, the ALF Caregivers Conference, the annual conference, and also those masterminds that we have, online programs, education. Working from home, coming and go as I please, traveling. I plan to do a lot more traveling. I am at peace and content with where I am. What is my day to day like? Well, my day to day are pretty much structured around my clients. So my children go to school. I wake up very early. I typically read. I go over my plans. Typically, I prep the day before for the next day. I don't take unscheduled appointment too much because I find one phone call can throw off the entire schedule. So I'm very structured. Everything is scheduled at least the day before. I wake up, I read, I get my kids out of the house to go to school. I read, I go over my plans, I take action. So by the time 9 o'clock come around, I've already done so much work, usually hours of work. A lot of what I do is very tedious, and it takes time to actually sit down in quiet without distractions to actually show up with my clients. So once the day really get going, where the business day start after 9 a.m., typically around 8 o'clock, between 8 and 8:30, phone calls with the zoning department, meetings with city officials, planning meetings, meetings with contractors that are doing work for my clients, follow-ups with things I need, progress report, making sure a lot of my clients are travel nurses. And so I'm in communication with their contractors, their architect, and different people that do different things to move the process along. So yeah, my days are pretty much structured around what's happening with my client, health department, doing paperwork for them, writing policies. It's very structured. And zoning meetings, whatever have you, is to make sure my clients' processes are moving, having conversations with ACA, the Agency for Healthcare Administration. Different clients have different things going on throughout the days. Like I have several different clients have different things going on the same day. So my day is pretty structured. So when I say I can't pick up the phone unless like the appointment is scheduled, it's not because I'm trying to be difficult. It's because if I'm not disciplined, then I'm letting my clients down. If I can't take control of my time and my calendar, then I can't do what I'm supposed to do, and that doesn't feel good for anyone. And once my children come home, I'm a mom of three. Once my children come home, the house is very active. Of course, you can see why. We have two boys running around, plus my baby daughter. She's not a baby, she's 9, but you can see what that feels like. Two teenagers and my daughter who's 9. So very active household. We do have two little cats. So once my children come home, that's where I mellow down. I don't really have meetings around that time unless it's an emergency. I typically, if I am going to do something on the back end, It's something that I'm doing on the back end. There's no schedule around that. When I get to it, I get to it once my children come home. So the great question, how did I get my first client in my assisted living business? So my first client was actually a trial, and I had just opened. I had learned so much information, and of course, I am not a nurse. I don't have any nursing background. I came from law enforcement, and so I learned what I needed to learn. I took the test, did the training, became an administrator, got myself licensed, made a whole bunch of mistakes, okay? And that's why I know how to serve you, because I've been at every step that you're going to go through. I know what it's like to have a building that you're spending all this investment, that you're putting quite a bit of investment to get the business started. And then you have to get licensed, and then you have to onboard your first resident. And my first resident was actually a trial. It was a mom, it was a husband and wife, beautiful husband and wife that were at a larger setting. And mom and dad needed more care, and they needed to go to a smaller setting where they can get the more one on one interaction that was necessary. And the lead came through a placement agency. And as you know, a placement agency, they help you find families that are in need of different types of ALF setup. And they bring you the lead, they tour, they bring the family to see it, your location. And if the family like it, they end up staying. And of course, there is a fee. The placement agency does have a fee. I won't go too much into that, but basically, and you would negotiate what that fee is. Usually it's a month worth of whatever that you charge. So if you charge, at the time it was $6,500. So that's how much I needed to pay the placement agent. So in order for me to make it be worth it, there is a first month and a non-refundable that you charge to the client coming into your ALF. The first month you take care of the client with it, and the non-refundable you give to the placement agency. And that's typically how that works out. Now, there are different ones that have different types of fee structure, but that's typically how that works. So the trial was for the mom because mom needed more care. And so we decided, let's try it out to see how it works out. If she gets better, if she does better in that type of smaller environment, then dad would be the next person to show up. We ended up loving the life into that lady, and we love her so much. Literally, like, she was the baby of the house. And of course, she's not a baby, but it goes to show how much you get into this business and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna make a huge difference. But you don't realize how much you actually fall in love with your residents. You look at them like my grandma, it's like there's something about being in the presence of an older person that's just bring you so much comfort and wisdom, and it's priceless. But anyway, so of course she ended up staying. So it was supposed to be a 30-day trial, and within 15 days, I think it was, dad ended up coming. So now I had a couple, a husband and wife, and they were just so cute. And that's pretty much how I started to onboard my first few clients. And so my first few clients, I got them through placement agencies. And that's a good strategy if you are new to the business like I was, and I didn't have any resources and I was trying things out. So I did my research, found out the placement agencies that were within my areas, and I developed a good relationship with them. And that's how I was able to fill up my beds that first year. And after that, I started finding out where I need to go to network, what I needed to do. And I started doing that. And eventually, I was able to find my own clients. But it's a good strategy in the beginning to use placement agencies. So when our clients are getting licensed, one of the things that we not only tell them what to do when it comes to marketing, online and offline marketing strategies, we also advise placement agents to be part of that marketing strategy. And we also give them, some starting points, some companies that they can actually start using. So that's how I was able to get my first client. In the next videos, we can talk about, for example, how do you handle when a resident passes away? I mean, that first year, it was an amazing year, and I was able to stretch myself. I learned a lot. Some days it was very stressful because I was going through things that I didn't quite fully understand. I just knew what to do, but I couldn't see what the end results would be. But of course, I overcame it. Of course, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And of course, after that first year of management, everything becomes like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before and it's not a big deal. That's why community is so important. I do have a community inside of the Thriving Circle community. You'd be able to have friendships, relationships with people that are running their ALFs and have very hard questions, and also people that are right in the beginning phases. They don't have a building yet, oftentimes, and people that are in the middle. They have a building, they are our clients, they have hired our services, and others who are doing the process themselves. And with my coaching, they're able to get themselves licensed. And it is an amazing environment to be in. I'll put the link in the description. If you feel called, it's very affordable, and feel free to take a look at it. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. Again, my name is Carlene Cadet Francois. I help busy professionals convert buildings into thriving assisted living businesses and group homes. Our expertise are in Florida licensing rules and regulations. And I will see you in the next one. Check the link in the description to see how you can work with me if you feel called.